We already really touched on it, but it's back up again. It just keeps resurfacing. We did a show. One of our first shows, if not our first show, was on the diversity, equity, inclusion, right? It was DEI. And part of that was about the discretionary promotions of executives. And we talked about, what it's like to be an executive in that process. And, we'll talk about it a little bit more. But I think first, let's take a look at what sparked this all. And let's take a look at the Patrick Gordon video, who's the president of the Guardians Association in the NYPD.
Concerns that I receive a lot is a lot of black members of the NYPD says that it feels like black and browns are under attack right now in the agency, right? And I know we had some issues that happened a couple of months ago, but we know the agency is 180 years old, and this is not the first time they've seen something unfortunate. But it seems like the response, and this is not my words, this is the words of over 2,000 paid members. They said it seems like that the response is that all blacks and all browns are, we're all, it's not in to be black or brown, right? And some of the things that they use that's being used is some of the demotion of black executives. We had Tariq Shepard, we had Paul Gamble, we had some Latinos that was ousted. We had Miguel Iglesias. So now I receive increased pressure, like, hey, what are you doing? What is the Guardians doing? Right. Because it's just a feel. It may be for a number of reasons, and they may not know the reasons. There might be things behind the scenes that we don't know, but the appearance is that. The second concern that I'm receiving highly is it appears that everything is a tie now. Someone brought to my attention every promotion that we've had since January has had somebody with the last name, make a chief, right? And we've only had maybe 1-2 blacks make it, but it's a whole bunch of Italians walking across the stage. And they pointed out the chief of the department is Italian, the XO of the department is Italian, the CEO of the office is Italian, personnel people. So they're like, well, we see one group running things, and this is the way it looks. And again, it may be things that I don't know, right? So, this is what I want to put on you. And I know you run a big city, like the police department is just one portion of what you're responsible for. And so we just wanted to put out there that these are concerns, and maybe you can help us. We can have some conversations, because there might be things that people are not paying attention to, right? So we can put on a radar.
No, thank you for.
We got to both have the same face on when the video comes off.
How do you say things like that? It's like, I mean, really, when you think about it, don't you want the most qualified candidate? Doesn't matter what color they are, what sex they are. It just matters the person that you're putting on top or putting in particular positions is competent enough to handle that. When they say things like that, clearly that's racism, right? That's racist right there. Just pick people based on their color. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. It's unfortunate for people that get promoted, because then the presumption is, especially when a video is leaked like that, the presumption is you got picked because of your color or your sexual, your sex, not because of your competency. And that could be the furthest thing from the truth, but that's the perception. So I just don't know why he would say that. And then to literally like talk about Italians and male whites and stuff, that to me, that's racist, and it's wrong.
And again, if you or I stood there and he stood and apologized with the Columbia Association president and said how they're going to work to move forward from this and everything else, to me, that's disingenuous. You look at the demographics of the job, and you look at the percentage in the rank of captain and above, it's pretty fair. And then when you look at even further, the time it takes on average, that big purple circle all the way on the end, that's the white male. How long it takes them to get promoted to deputy inspector, as opposed to the middle circle of blue, that's a male Hispanic and male blacks. How they get promoted, discretionary promotions, a lot quicker than we do. And that's been the case for the longest time. But if anybody else were to make those statements, the ramifications would be terrible. Terrible. I mean, I don't know. There would be definitely would be an EEO filed. There would definitely be, questions of racism, because you're saying that everybody would have vowel O. And first of all, I didn't know that Shell ended in O, and I didn't know that Shell was Italian.
I don't think so.
He brings up the demotions and discipline against the higher executives of color, and every one of them was wrapped in scandal. He talks about Tariq Shepard. Tariq Shepard pushed the police commissioner
On video.
Didn't deny it. The mayor said, boys being boys. No, it's a paramilitary organization. There's no such thing as boys being boys when it comes to a supervisor, let alone the damn police commissioner. So it's just, it doesn't make any sense. It's another slight on the NYPD. Like you said, for those qualified people of color who get promoted, it takes away from their credibility. Because now, did I get promoted because I'm a male black, or did I get promoted because I deserve to get promoted? And under the Eric Adams administration, his own self-proclaimed chocolate administration, his words, he points out all of the high-ranking and high-level male and female persons of color that have been appointed. So for Patrick Gordon to come out and say, since January, a couple of Italians got promoted to chief more than blacks. Well, there's a lot more male white captains and inspectors. So you would expect that more of them would move up in the ranks. Listen, for those who aren't aware of the way it works, you take a promotional exam up to the rank of captain. After the rank of captain, it's discretionary of the police commissioner, which is always been the point of contention, right? Because it's their discretion. So really, there's never been a set rule of how to get promoted.
No. I mean, you don't know, right? You don't know you're going to get promoted. Sometimes you think because of the position or the spot that you're in, it's a promotion spot, right? So you'll say that I'm in the 4-4 or I'm in the 7-5 as a captain. You say I'm going to get promoted, or you might be an XO in a borough. You might say, all right, I'm an inspector in the borough. I just got in the XO spot. I'm probably going to get promoted to chief. But again, there's no guarantee. Here's the problem that I see. The promotion, like you said just a few minutes ago, is discretionary. So since it's discretionary, it is extremely difficult to prove that I was not promoted because of who I am. Because they can say it was our discretion that we promoted this person because we felt they're better suited for the position, they're better suited to be promoted. So your pushback on that is null, because they can say, well, it's a discretionary promotion, right? How many captains do you know that went 15, 20 years and never got promoted? So it doesn't make any sense that you can say that it was the department's discretion. So I mean, what is the real answer then? How do you fight that?
It took me almost 9 years to get promoted to deputy inspector. Almost 9 years to get promoted to deputy inspector. And yeah, it is their discretion, right? It just, There's no rhyme or reason to it. There's no longer a rhyme or reason. There used to be back in the day, if you got a spot, you knew you were getting promoted. 100%. That went away maybe 10 years ago, little less, where it didn't matter. They just started promoting people no matter where they wanted to promote people. It just didn't matter. It didn't matter.
So real quick, 2 spots. First of all, the chief of ESU, he was never a chief. It was always an inspector. And then suddenly it became a 1-star, and then it went to a 2-star. Okay, Jimmy Cohn, who was the CEO of aviation, who busted his butt and brought aviation up to the standards that it was, retired as an inspector, which was the highest rank that they had at the time. You know who's there now? It's a 1-star in aviation. That was never a chief spot, never. So it's amazing. So I mean, yeah, did they? And I think like Samara said earlier, the people that did like the double bumps, the triple bumps, right? So they literally jumped and skipped ranks, as she says. You know. So I mean,
never saw those. The one anomaly of the double bump that everybody always talked about was Jaffe, right? She went from inspector to 2-star chief in charge of the Bronx under Carrick. Then you didn't see it. And then all of a sudden, Fausto Pichardo and other people started getting these double bumps, and it just, there's no rhyme or reason for it anymore. And then you have the de Blasio executive order, right? You remember the de Blasio executive order? You must interview when looking for promotion or a position of that could be promoted. You must interview a person of an underrepresented class or race.
Yep.
So
I'm not going to say that word because I had problems with it last time. So I'm going to leave that word completely out.
Yeah, you came up with about 7 different versions of it the last time.
No.
You've just watched a clip from our live episode. Click the description to watch the full episode. Like, share, and subscribe for more videos just like this.